The NBA season is just 2 days deep, and we already have so much to discuss. The Pelicans look like they have all the chemistry in the world, despite their big three just playing in their 10th game together due to injuries. The Orlando Magic look like real threats in the Eastern Conference to make a run at the playoffs and/or play-in. And Victor Wembanyama made his NBA debut, kinda shocking the world. We have a ton more to get into this video as well, guys, not just those three things, so be sure to stay tuned to the end to hear about a lot of different things with the Celtics, the Warriors, the Suns, the Lakers, the Nuggets, etc. First and foremost, let's talk new additions. Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Bruce Brown, Max Strus, and Derrick Rose are just some notable ones we'll go over quickly. As for KP, he looked amazing alongside Jason Tatum as the team's number 2 option, and a big win at Madison Square Garden to start off the season in a great way. I'm not saying that he'll continue to be the second or even the third option every night. Obviously with Jason, Jalen, and Drew, it's kind of going to be the four of them picking and choosing who's doing what night. But I will say it was pretty refreshing to see him kind of come back, ironically, into Madison Square Garden and play just like he did during his Knicks days. I'm sure he's very comfortable playing with that arena in this point in his career. He looked dominant on both sides of the ball and was really just a nice pairing alongside this already stacked Celtics team. This Celtics team has been one that has always shown their strength on the offensive side and then used their length on the defensive side, and KP kind of fits that build, my apologies, extremely well. While Drew Holiday didn't boast the most incredible numbers on the box score, he was presenting his ability to fill the shoes of the traded Marcus Smart and play S-tier defense. While defending the New York Knicks' 3 leading scorers, Julius Randle shot a whopping 1 for 10 from the field, while Jalen Brunson shot 0 for 4, and RJ Barrett shot 1 for 4. The Knicks looked absolutely awful efficiency-wise, and it definitely hurts when you lose a game by 4 when your best players are missing 18, 15, and 9 shots apiece. The Celtics still have a lot to figure out down the road, and this is only Joe Mazzulla's second year as head coach, but all things considered, I think this was a great first outing as a team, especially on the road in one of the loudest arenas in the NBA. Real quick to touch on Derrick Rose, it was really fun last night to watch him. Even though he was pretty inefficient, he still looked a little explosive and willing to score. I just wanted to pay attention to this game, their second unit in specific, to just see what this offense would look like with no John Morant and then no Tyus Jones. I think a lot of people forget how actually important and integral that Tyus Jones's role was for the team. Last season, he had one of the lowest assist to turnover ratios in the NBA for players playing over 20 minutes a game. The Grizzlies lost, but again, they have a ton of time to figure things out, and they're going to need to with Jaren Jackson Jr. Last night, it kind of looked like he was shying away from being that number 1 option, but he needs to embrace that role and kind of be that Jaren Jackson we saw in the last 15 to 20 games of last season when Ja was missing a lot of time. As for Bruce Brown and Max Strus, 2 kind of the same tier guys. Some would probably argue Bruce is a little bit higher. Regardless, it looks like they're already making an immediate impact on their respective new rosters. The Cavs have been desperately needing a 5th option, someone kind of like Derek White on the Celtics, that can score off the dribble and knock down open shots. And with 29 points last night being the team's leading scorer, Max Strus did just that. Bruce Brown with 24 points on the Pacers was the leading scorer as well, and the Pacers actually blew out the Wizards, causing Wizards fans to question the seriousness of this new core and new season. I do think they'll be alright. That doesn't mean I think they'll make the playoffs or anything, but I think there will be some fun and mildly entertaining Wizards games this year. Nonetheless, there was a lot of great performances by familiar faces and new places, but let's talk about someone like Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren, who has not played an official NBA game yet and just made their debuts. As for Chet, other than the whole Andre Drummond dropping him thing, it was a pretty solid limited minutes first game. The Thunder smashed the Bulls by 20 points and have Bulls fans around the world pondering, saying it's time to tank already and that I've seen people joking that they've already been eliminated from the playoffs. Chet had an efficient 12 points and I think he had 3 rebounds or something like that. But like I said, he only played 25 minutes, and honestly it was the same for Victor. Victor actually might have played less than 25 minutes. It seemed like both of them may ramp it up playing to that 30-minute mark as the season progresses and we get closer to playoff time. I'm sure from a coaching standpoint, this is just to manage not only expectations, but injuries as well, as they're both very long and skinny athletes. They received an interesting coverage scheme when they had the ball on offense too, and that can be, a lot for the body, especially when you have bigger guys kind of knocking you off your spot. For Victor Wembanyama, it seemed like every single time he had the ball within the three-point line, they were throwing a double team at him, regardless of the fact that this was his first NBA game. Moving on to the two teams I want to touch on really quick before we wrap this thing up. The Orlando Magic and the New Orleans Pelicans. Man, I had a lot of fun watching those games. It was so great to see Jonathan Isaac back on an NBA court for the opening night. The Magic handily beat the Rockets by about 30 points, which is kind of bitter if you're a Rockets fan. I mean, you bring these new vets in Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and even Reggie Bullock, and you kind of hope, man, this is going to be, the Jalen Green jump. Şengün's going to have another jump. It's going to be a great year for us. And then opening night with head coach Emeka Udoka, the new coach, you lose by 30. I love watching Markelle Fultz. I love watching Franz Wagner. And even Paolo Banchero, I'm not the biggest fan of him. I don't have anything against him. It's just I'm not turning on the TV just to watch him. I would rather watch those other guys, and Jonathan Isaac as well. I made a video about the Magic last season saying they're up next for the young cores out east, and I'm sticking to my word. I mean, they look absolutely amazing, and the head coach in the Orlando Magic is nothing but greatness. However, out west, the Pelicans look serious. I know it's just one game, but people often forget that last year, when they were even just partially healthy at the time, Brandon Ingram was still hurt. Before Zion went down with his injury, they were the 1 seed and pretty handedly for about the first 25 games of the season. Obviously, injuries are a part of the game and you can't just hypothetically poof and make them disappear. However, if the Pelicans are even 2/3 healthy this season, which is a lot considering Trey Murphy is already out for the foreseeable future. I believe in training camp he tore his meniscus. I could be wrong about that. It might be the ACL. I know it's something in his knee. Regardless, I could see this team winning close to 55 games if Zion plays a majority of them. They're absolutely loaded, and Zion continues to prove himself time and time again. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players this game has to offer. This Pelicans team, maybe not skill-wise, but potential and talent-wise, I'd say this team kind of reminds me of the Blazers teams with Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge and Greg Oden. It just seems like they have this big three that if they can play together and be healthy, they will excel and win many games. And if not, we'll just have to chalk it up as another big what if. Outside of all of this, some final quick notes I have to add. The Warriors with Chris Paul lose their first game to some big shooting woes. Chris Paul actually kind of poked some fun at himself in a post-game interview, saying something along the lines of, "Am I worried about this shooting woes? No, not at all. I was on a team that missed 27 threes in a row," which is ironic. That was against the Warriors, obviously, back in 2018, Game 7, when they lost. Rockets could have made the finals. Rockets fans, I'm sorry, F in the chat. I doubt, like I said, these shooting woes, they persist. The Denver Nuggets, they look like they're probably going to go back to the NBA Finals if their health continues to look good. They look like they haven't skipped a beat, even with the loss of someone as energetic as Bruce Brown. And then finally, the Los Angeles Lakers. I think I'm going to need to see another 35 games before I can even make an opinion on them, because this team is just always so sporadic, and it's really hard to kind of lock down one or formulate one opinion, if you will. But what do you guys think? What is your thoughts going forward on this season? What were you excited to see in this opening day, opening night, opening weekend? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to be back on these recaps consistently, guys. I appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.